What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Cryptographics. And we have a banger of a stream today because we have a whole hell of a lot going on in the markets, in crypto, TitanX, and with Taurus. So this is going to be a great stream. And like the title says, I want to bring you through the macro, the micro, and everything in between as much as I can in this stream. And we're going to talk about Taurus, Q&A, do a potential testnet walkthrough, and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm really excited to see this. I'm going to try out the comments in the bottom, yes, right here, so that you guys can interact with me the whole time and I can see easily what's going on. So let's get right into it. There's a whole lot to talk about with TitanX specifically. We have the strategic reserve that came up. We have, it's where do we even begin? Well, where we're going to begin is we're going to look at what happened today specifically, which is pretty gnarly. So let me just bring up my screen here real quick, and let's do this. So I wasn't aware of what Cetus was. It's a DEX, and it was. I'll just read this to you. So this is an announcement. So this happened today. Sorry to everyone that's affected. As of earlier today, we've confirmed that an attacker has stolen approximately $223 million from Cetus protocol. Bro. We have taken immediate action to lock our contract, preventing further theft of funds. $162 million of the compromised funds have been successfully paused. We're working with the SUI Foundation and other ecosystem members right now on next step solutions with the goal of recovering the remaining stolen funds. The majority of impacted funds are paused, and we are actively pursuing paths to recover the remainder. We have no higher priority and will provide further updates as they become available through this channel. A full incident report will be disclosed later. We are sincerely grateful for your patience. So, wow, that's an immense amount of funds. There's a lot here, right? One, let's go to another page. This is going to summarize this a little bit more. This is the CoinDesk page, and this article is free on the internet, so go check this out as well for a more thorough breakdown. And I'm not going to cover like what SUI is and all this stuff, but what I want to do is just talk about a few things here and just update you guys on what's happening in the market and maybe why this is a significant event. So Cetus protocol is the largest DEX on the SUI network. So SUI is a blockchain, layer 1, and was exploited, leading to a halt in trading and draining the liquidity pools. The attacker used spoof tokens to exploit price curves and reserve calculations, manipulating liquidity to extract real assets. So Cetus has paused its smart contracts for safety and plans to release a detailed statement while its token Cetus has dropped 40%. So first off, if you are playing ball in SUI, if you're playing ball in Cetus, and this has affected you, that sucks. I'm really sorry to hear. $226 million, that's a big exploit. So my condolences if this has hit you. And yeah, it happens too often in this space, and it really sucks. But a couple things I want to point out here as well is this is why it is, there's pros and cons. So with this, what we're seeing is these smart contracts, can be paused. That's why they have paused them. So this goes to show you that with SUI, it's not completely decentralized. And so it can, obviously I'm just giving you a super layman's overview. I'm not super up to date with SUI, but there's a couple things to point out here to at least look into, which is there's clearly some centralization going on here. And there's obviously pros and cons to this. The cons are, the chain can be paused. We don't know yet. There's a lot of trust involved. All sorts of things can happen. The positives to it, because there are positives and negatives to everything, is that this might have mitigated this to some degree, right? That's, the double-edged sword you get with full decentralization or full centralization. And on the decentralization side, stuff like this couldn't have necessarily been paused. I don't know the capacity of guys like Zach XBT or these like white hat hackers that can go out there and do some serious work to get these funds back. But this is something to consider. So this is why, there are some okay things with centralization. Now we know, though, that Cetus and SUI are on a blockchain or, part of a system that is centralized. And this, I wasn't aware of this. So this was a big deal big news for me. Now, the other thing is in the past, there's typically been, and this is the real reason why I'm pointing this out. These are all just other talking points, but the real reason I'm pointing this out is because there has typically been one major exploit or something that's happened that has then been some kind of catalyst for the bull run. Now, is this exploit it? I've got no idea. But what I do want to talk about is some of the macro indicators, how ETH's looking, how BTC is looking, and what this all points to right now. Okay, so we've got this. This sucks. I hope they can resolve it and people lose as little out of this as possible. So let's go take a look at BTC, though, because we also have some huge news with BTC. I mean, all-time high. BTC, 111,000. This is crazy. What a time to be alive. And you're going to see why, to me, this is such a big deal to be where we are with this price point here. I mean, all-time high is amazing. But when you look at some of the other stuff we're going to look at, it's like, maybe we haven't even begun. Hang on. We're going to get there. So we've all seen the M2 money supply. When you lead it with 108 days or 70 days or whatever it is, and it's got its own thing, right? It's interesting to look at. Now, I've also seen Benjamin Cohen talk about how instead of it being a lagging indicator, it could be a leading indicator, which implies a whole different set of things. Now, I'm not here to validate or invalidate the M2, but it's interesting to watch how this goes. So I'm just going to hide this for a moment here. And really, where I want to go with this is, if we are truly headed up more, and this is only the beginning, what does that mean for Bitcoin? What does that mean for Ethereum? What does that mean for TitanX? What does it mean for Pulse Chain? Now let's get into that. So let me bring up a couple stats here. Let's go to, now I don't share this very often, but I've got a web page here, and I might drop a free version that you can get some of these stats from for free without paying for the Glassnode studio that I'm going to bring up here in a second. But let's take a look at this. So let's look at what's going on. So we've got Ethereum is at 26.55 currently. 7-day cost basis is at 25.55. Current price of BTC obviously is 111,000. But look at the percentage of supply and profit. This is always interesting to see. So with BTC, it has 100% of its supply currently in profit. That's been a minute since I think that's been a statistic. So that's pretty cool. But ETH is only in profit by 70%. So there's 30% of the supply that's actually not in profit. That's interesting. So let's go check out some stuff here. Let's go to the charts. Let's go to some of my favorites. And let's check out, where is it here? With BTC, I want to go to the Pi Cycle top indicator. So this has been a classic indicator that I'm sure many of you guys are very familiar with, where once these two moving average, so you got the 111-day moving average and the 350-day moving average times 2. These indicate, or these two moving averages, when they overlap, typically has been the top, and pretty precisely so. So, I mean, the Pi Cycle indicator is a free indicator. You can go find this on the internet. It's not behind a paywall or anything like that. There's many of them out there. But what's interesting is we are at a point here where there's like a divergence in these two moving averages, which implies we're actually really far from the top if we're looking at history, right? The only times that these moving averages have really diverged is on the verge of a bear or a continuation of a bull. Now, what's interesting is the 350-day moving average is actually looking like it wants to go up, whereas the 111-day moving average is decreasing, which kind of reminds me of, this area here. Obviously, no two cycles are going to be the same, but to me, this seems like it's bullish. Now, I'll share with you another chart so we can see exactly why I think this is bullish. And of course, I'm not a macro analyst. I'm just some guy that has done a lot of research, and I'm able to put some things together, but there's obviously things I'm going to miss. So just take this as general information and do with it what you want. But we're going to go to the reserve risk. Now, this one I found really fascinating. So what this one is typically you have these two zones here relative to the BTC price and the overall confidence of BTC holders. Now, if you want the full descriptions here, I mean, all these indicators are going to have the relative descriptions, but there's a lot more that goes into it. And they typically have like a full article that you need to read to understand the math. But I'll read the chart description here for you. So the reserve risk is defined as price divided by the HODL bank. It's a completely different indicator. It is used to assess the confidence of long-term holders relative to the price of the native coin at any given point in time. So basically when price is high or when confidence is high and price is low, there's an attractive risk reward to invest, which is, reserve risk being low in this green section here. And when confidence is low and price is high, the risk reward isn't attractive at the time. So let's go look here. Typically, this factor has been high, which is interesting because in 2021, it didn't actually crack into that. So, this might be an indicator that's not completely accurate. But what I do find interesting is that right now, being at all-time highs, we are currently in this sweet spot here, which I find very, very fascinating. So this is one indicator implying that maybe the party hasn't even started yet. Now, if we go to the, where is my favorite here, the MVRV Z-score. Now, this is also another free indicator that you can look up. I think bgeometrics.com is a great place to go and see a lot of these indicators. But if we look at previous, the metrics here for the MVRV score, what this is a market value realized value. So this looks at the movement of BTC over the past so many days divided by the market value, or maybe vice versa. I can't remember which one it is. But essentially what this does is this is like showing the overbought, oversold to a very precise degree. And if you look at this, it's really showed the bottoms literally on the day. Each time the bottom has come in, this indicator has been very, very, very precise. And for the tops, it's also been pretty great as well. So this is an important one to look at. Now, when it comes to the MVRV, typically the top has been in when this score has gone past 5, okay? When it gets to about the 5 zone, these seems like, we're getting close. Now, the last top was about 7-ish when we finally hit the top. The actual second top in 2021 was only 3 point some odd, but we did have a spike up here. So the reason I'm showing this to you again is, remember, the pi cycle indicator was showing us that this wasn't exactly the top. The reserve risk was showing that confidence is high relative to the price, and the price is low relative to the confidence. So that's really interesting. We also have the MVRV, which is showing us that the realized value is quite low relative to the market value, and that maybe the party hasn't even started yet. And this actually resembles a 2017 run with the MVRV. Obviously, it is different, but this resembles this more than the 2021 or 2020 to 2021 era. So now history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. And this, we still don't know what's going to happen with all the macro stuff changing with like the tariffs and the global situation and politically, the political landscape. We don't know what could shift. So all that is still up in the air. But as you can see, there's some interesting indicators, even at all-time highs for Bitcoin, pointing to the top not being anywhere close to being in. So let me pause here. I'm going to come into the chat. I want to see what you guys are saying here, because I see a whole lot. No, not too much. Okay. I see Maxim in here. My man, great to have you. Goo God, or sorry, not Goo God. Mr. Green, welcome. Ben, I think I saw something crawling in that beard. No way. No way. I hope not. And I swear, is my audio still working? I don't think it's stopped because you guys haven't said anything. However, I got a little pop-up. So best beard in crypto. Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate that. K-Flow, you're the man as well. Thank you for being here. Utah, great to have you. The beard of knowledge. It might be, I'm afraid, should I not? If I shave this beard, maybe I shouldn't do it. I don't think that's a good idea with all the stuff going on right now. I think if I'm going to shave it and the knowledge is going to go away, now's not the time for that. Mr. K, welcome. Jamie, what's up? What's up? Glad to have all of you here. It's actually cool to have these comments going. So I think I'm going to keep this up in the future as well. I like this. Great job, StreamYard. So let me hide this. So what are you guys thinking in the comments here? I want to know what I'm presenting, what you're seeing. Is this lining up with what you think? What other indicators are you looking at to measure where we are in this cycle? And let's go look at ETH while I'm waiting for your comments here to roll in. Let me go to the ETH charts. And is there any others I want to show you guys here? Let's go to the fear and greed. This is an interesting one here too. So fear and greed is actually, it's not overbearing right now. It's not in the complete greed side of the equation or extreme greed. It's definitely trending into the greed territory for sure. But considering we're all-time highs, it's not bad. It's pretty good. So let's go to the exchange net position change. And what you're going to see here is what's interesting is this, what this chart is showing here is, when tops are in, or times of selling are in, typically you see a lot of exchange inflow. What that means here is that there you see a lot of this green. People are inflowing massively. You can see these massive spikes typically when tops have been in, right? So if you'll notice right now, you can see the outflow, so the red, is much higher than the inflow, even right now at all-time highs. So again, this implies that people are taking funds off the exchanges, meaning they want to hodl. They want to hold their tokens. They're not selling right now. So again, we've got the MVRV. We've got the exchange net position change, which is the basically inflow, outflow of the exchanges. We got the pi cycle. We got the reserve risk. I mean, there's all sorts of indicators we could spend all day looking at. But for the sake of time and to go into the ETH side of the equation, let's go and check ETH out, because I think there's some really interesting stuff here. Let's go to my favorites, because I mean, there's where is it here? One sec, guys. Now this is my favorite with the market extremes, because this really shows the power of the MVRV. Oh, sorry, this is for ETH too. So check this out. Do you guys remember when I made that tweet that said now is a good time to load up on ETH and TitanX? I was right about here. You want to know why? Because I was looking at this indicator, and time again with this indicator, when you see this bottom coming here, when you see the value going negative, which it was right here, or sorry, over here. Actually, where was it? It's the MVRV Z-score, because this is a little bit of a different one. But typically, when you see this extreme low, like we saw in the previous lows, this to me was a sign that we had bottomed. Now, typically with the MVRV, this is the market extreme, so it doesn't go quite into the negatives. But typically when you're using the MVRV, it goes like these values here when it was below or at these bottoms was in the negatives by quite a bit. So it's like negative 0.7 or negative 0.8. And it makes it a little bit more clear. But what it does have in replacement is these colorations that come in that really show the extremes. And this was showing here that it was oversold. And look at this. All of a sudden, we've now gone from 1644 to now 2644. So Ethereum went up basically $1,000 in the last few weeks, which has been amazing. And what's cool is at $1,400 or $1,600, whatever we were here, I think it was actually 1472. Is that right? That looked like a generational bottom, is what I would say people would refer to this, refer about this too, or however the hell you say that. So if ETH is looking great, let's see the pi cycle top indicator for ETH is looking fantastic in terms of we're not anywhere close to a top. And let's see the dormancy flow, which is another interesting one. So this is interesting, meaning this is where prices typically have, or the flow of ETH has typically gone bananas. We're really low right now, yet the prices are still really, really high. So you can see here, there's some really interesting data points to look at right now that really seem to indicate that we're not moving relative. We're not actually doing a whole lot relative to retail. There's a lot of wiggle room potentially here. Now, obviously, this is never for sure. You never know what's going to happen, but there's a lot of bullish indicators that are popping up from time and time again. Let me check in with you guys to see if you guys had any questions. I don't see any here, Mr. K. I should grow a beard to have more of a chin. You know what? That's one of the weirdest things about having a beard is when you shave it, your chin feels like it's down here, and all of a sudden it feels like it's up by like your lips. It's the most obscure, trippiest experience you could have. I mean, when you grow a big one like this. So grow one though. Try it if you haven't before. So let's keep going though. All right. So let me see if there's a couple others that I want to share with you guys in here. Let's look at the exchange, the net volume in and out, because this is an interesting one for BTC. So let's look at the ETH net exchange flow. So actually, let me see if I can get a better one here, because this one is a little too... Actually, let me just zoom in. So let's go 2022. So we can see here is there's a whole lot of outflow from exchanges. It's not as high resolution, obviously, as the BTC, but this is interesting. So again, trending to outflow. You can see the spike away from exchanges, which is pretty cool. So what I'm seeing here, and you know what? Let me go and find one more thing that I want to bring up and show you guys, because there is a couple keywords that I want to show you guys on Google Trends that I want you to watch to see a few more interesting parameters to look at. So let's look at, and you're not seeing it on my screen. Give me a moment here. I'm just getting all set up. Let's see, past 5 years. And let's go finance. Great. So let's just double check here. And actually, let me change this to all time. Great. Let's do this. So check this out. Let me just delete Binance, actually. Let me get rid of this one. It's a little too. So check this out. So if you search up Coinbase, CoinMarketCap, I think you could even do BTC, but I like just these two. Check this out. You can see the top in search volume clearly in the 2017 top, as well as the 2021 tops as well. And check this out. Remember, we're at all-time high in BTC right now. ETH is just beginning, and look at the retail search volume. You tell me. But when I look at this, I'm thinking, are we really this early this cycle? Or are we just like in a really weird cycle where nobody cares? I don't know. You guys tell me. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts because this looks pretty astonishingly bullish from everything that I'm looking at. Okay. Expedition, welcome. Go Time Axiom, thanks for being here. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you're sharing this out on X. Share out the YouTube link if you're watching here on YouTube. And also, if you haven't already, go into the description and jump into the Taurus Telegram because we're getting really close to launch and we need 1,000 members in the Telegram before we go live. So it's go time. You need to hop in there if you haven't already. So again, back to this though. So we have a whole lot of macro stuff going on that looks extremely bullish for both Bitcoin, for ETH, and also for alts. So let's check out real quick a couple things. Give me 1 second here. Expedition, I see your comment. I'm going to address it in a bit here. Let me get through my stuff and I'll come back to your question. So let me go to, so now ETH is up to $2,600. Let's take a look at what is going on in the TitanX ecosystem right now, because I think this is an interesting thing to see. Whereas if we go to, actually, let me just bring this up. Let's go to the ETH price here, which is, again, 26.55. We're up 4.1% on the day. And now let's go back over and check out the TitanX ecosystem. So again, shout out to Mike Dean for this amazing site. There's portfolio, there's bubbles, you can swap here. Everything for the TitanX ecosystem and even for other ecosystems as well can be found on TitanXHub.win. And if you want premium, go check that out. It's amazing and you will love it. So, but TitanX is up 9%. You can see that ETH is up 4%. DragonX is up 9%, almost 10%. And we have across the board numerous other tokens in the ecosystem that are having nice pumps. Now, this is going to be most likely a trend, and which is why it's important to understand that if ETH hasn't even started ripping yet, well, TitanX hasn't really either. So let me pull this up on Dex Screener. And let's talk numbers here. We have a whole lot to be bullish on. Now, while that's loading, I'm going to pull up something else. We're going to talk about the strategic ETH reserve. Now, to be completely honest, I think this is, I don't really know who's running this. Seems to me like, I don't know if it's just like a publicity thing or, really who's running it. I don't know if it's the ETH Foundation is running it, but it's here. It's been talked about on social media and it's pretty cool actually. So we can see that from the top down who has the largest holdings in Ethereum right now. And it's interesting for a few reasons. So the first one for Pulse Chain, which is amazing. Pulse Chain is the second biggest public entity on Ethereum with, this should be 171. I don't know why it's only 160 or 170,000 ETH. I don't know why it's only 166, but nonetheless, Pulse Chain has more ETH than Coinbase, than Gnosis, than the US government, than Lido, than ENS, Arbitrum, Aave, And the list goes on and on and on of very large organizations in DeFi. So it's about time this has finally been on a public website where people can actually see, like, what is this Pulse Chain thing? But what's really, really interesting, and I hope to get this up here soon, is with TitanX. This is where I get extremely bullish, and where I think if we can get TitanX up on this site where it belongs, we might see some major, what's the word here? See some inflow of eyeballs, to say the least. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is, look at this. If we go down, we can see that around the 13-14 range here, you have Aave and this KR1 PLC, which is a company. How much, and this is, the 13th and 14th largest holdings on this site. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen, but the TitanX ecosystem currently has about 5,350 to 5,400 ETH, including the DragonX reserves and the TitanX V1 buy and burn, which means that in all of DeFi that is on this site right now, and this more might come out, but right now we are right here in 14th or 15th largest holdings in all of DeFi for TitanX. That is amazing. I don't think you guys are bullish enough on how much ETH this ecosystem has this early on. Many of these ecosystems have been around for far longer. Pulse Chain hasn't been around for too much longer, obviously, a year and a bit, but still, like, TitanX has only been around since 2020, the end of 2023. So this is insanely bullish. 5,400 ETH right as of right now. That could change, that could grow. I mean, we know Taurus could get some ETH, which that could contribute to it. Other protocols like Hyper might start bringing in ETH very soon if the mining starts picking up. So we're actually in extremely bullish territory. And if I'm you guys, what I would be doing is I'd be really hammering this home, really be trying. I mean, if you haven't already, go, there's, what's his name? But when you see these posts by the SER, which is the Strategic Earth Reserve, talking about these different reserves being added, make sure you're commenting, make sure you're sharing out with quote tweets when anyone is going in and like talking to these people, trying to get TitanX on there, or even go ahead and try and join the movement, and we can get TitanX added to this list where it should be in number 14th position, which is just absolutely incredible. So let me pause here and come back to the stream, see how you guys are doing here. And Hexpedition, if you are seeing David's comment here, you've got it correct. So just to answer your question. Now, so what does this mean for TitanX? Well, in my opinion, and actually let me just go to the chart here, and then we'll start digging into TitanX. 1 second. But just to be clear, because I glossed over Pulse Chain a little bit, I am still extremely bullish on Pulse Chain. I do think that there are going to be different time horizons. I do think Pulse Chain is going to have its day a little bit later. It's got different factors. It's a different ecosystem. It's got different catalysts, most likely. It's got different challenges ahead, potentially. And so for me, when I look at this, I'm thinking, okay, TitanX is most likely to rip with ETH first. That's what I think. So could be totally wrong. Doesn't mean, yeah, I'm going to be right in any way, shape, or form. But let's look at this chart. I mean, to me, this looks pretty healthy. What about you guys? So when I see this, and if we go and look at the most important chart here, which this is the big one, if you guys are wanting to really see how TitanX is actually doing, this is the chart to come and see, which is the wrapped ETH TitanX ratio. Now, this is really interesting because we've pumped in USD value, right? So remember, this chart here is showing our value against wrapped ETH, sorry. So we've pumped like, I don't know, maybe 20% off the bottom of this chart. And guess what? In USD value, we've pumped, let's see here. $2x. We've gone a little bit more as we were pumping up, but we've done 2x to date. So you can see that we don't need, like when wrapped ETH or when ETH is pumping, the ecosystem rips with it. And so if ETH starts going and then people start coming into TitanX, the price chart could do some absolutely crazy things. So it's really important. I want you guys to remember, and this goes for all of these alt ecosystems where they're linked integrally to Ethereum, is that when Ethereum starts pumping, man, these things can absolutely rip. There's no guarantee, but they can. And so let's talk about a few things that is going really well for TitanX in the background here. And this will lead us into Taurus, hopefully. I'll pause before Taurus to make sure you guys don't have any questions, but let's talk about TitanX here. So if we go to the TitanX.win dApp and we look at the mining side of things to see exactly what's going on with supply, whole lot can be talked about here for quite a while, but it's important for people to understand that right now it takes, well, we're 94, 95% underwater for what it costs to actually mine at a 0% ROI for TitanX. Now, what does that mean? That means we are, oh God, if I can do this math off, I'm not going to do the math off the cuff. But weeks ago, when I talked about this, this meant that for the wrapped ETH chart, we were somewhere around, I think it was 18 times undervalued at the time for TitanX before people could start mining, which means it's 36. And these are all loose numbers, but essentially, if we were to go 94% down here, and we can't do it. So let's go over to the USD. I don't think this is going to work perfect, but if we go roughly to this math, we can see, you know, a rough estimate of kind of where we are. Like if ETH doesn't move from here, we assume that everything stays the same. Let's go to, I think it would be around here. So basically, you can see this line right here. And this is just super loose, guys. This is super loose. So let's bring this down just a touch to here. Now, for us to get to a point, remember, every day that goes by in TitanX, it gets more difficult to mine. So if we get to this line, this means that people break even on miners 280 days into the future. If people to this line, which is should be up here, now there's 100% profit for 280-day miners in ETH terms, assuming ETH doesn't increase in price. If ETH increases in value, this is going to change completely. So this can be way higher than what I'm going to say here. But for this is super important to understand, because for mining to be profitable again, or for mining to be break even, TitanX needs to go and do a 13, almost a 14x. For miners to be profitable again by 100%, TitanX needs to do about 28x. Now, if ETH goes and does anything at all in this cycle, this could be really challenging for people to actually be able to profitably mine, meaning we might not see any inflation for quite a while in the TitanX ecosystem, meaning that we are essentially able to have clear skies ahead for many, many, many X's before we actually see more TitanX come into the ecosystem. This is super important to understand, because this means that TitanX is in a completely deflationary state for a long time, potentially the rest of the cycle, which means TitanX has clear skies to potentially do a massive run ahead. Now, that is a very important thing to understand, in my opinion. What also is important here is when we consider for all these protocols that have been built, when people are seeing all of these other protocols having big green days, when Taurus is out, and even if the buy and burns get used a tiny bit, or if they don't, the marketing behind these is all going to consolidate into one, at least in my opinion, one very large thing that people are going to be able to see and be like, oh, I need to check this thing out. There's something going on here. And we're going to have major catalysts all lining up for the TitanX ecosystem, which I think is going to be absolutely insanely bullish. So let me pause here, come to the chat, and let's see here. Mike says, hi, mate, love your streams. Do you have any price targets for BTC and ETH? I don't have, I'm looking more at the data versus the price targets. I think based on what I'm seeing, BTC is going to go a lot higher than people expect. You know, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw we saw Richard Hart say $240,000 BTC. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if we saw greater than 300,000, only because there's so much, people are sleeping on this cycle, it seems, in like an insane amount. That doesn't mean it's going to go there, but it wouldn't shock me if we saw BTC go to something like that. It wouldn't even shock me if we went higher, because what I've been watching over the last while, like my sentiment was, okay, maybe institutions with ETFs and all these other major corporate entities that want BTC, maybe they want the price to dip so that retail gets out and they can get all the supply. That was my thought process. But what I'm thinking now is, what if this whole idea of it dropping was maybe not correct? And if we look at the metrics, remember the retail stuff I was talking about, where retail is not even looking at BTC right now, not even looking at ETH, not even looking at crypto. Maybe there actually is so little interest by retail, maybe by design, maybe not, I don't know, that there is no drop needed to get the majority of supply for the institutions before retail comes in, because retail's not even in. And there's so few people in right now that actually believe that, maybe BTC actually has some serious clear skies ahead and could go to numbers that we can't even fathom right now. So I don't know, but that's kind of where I'm leaning right now. I'm thinking, maybe this actually is going to be crazier than we thought. That's where I'm leaning right now. ETH, I don't know. I really don't. If BTC is going to do crazy numbers like that, ETH could do well beyond 10K, 20K. You go look at the ETH BTC ratio. I think the all-time high was 0.1, was it? Let me go just double check here. Let me just double check with this, and we'll look together here once this loads. So ETH BTC's all-time high was, I believe, just shy of 0.1. So or is it? No, it's back here. Let's go to the weekly, because I'm too far zoomed in here. Give me 1 second, guys. So the all-time, 0.15 is the all-time high. Let's say it just gets back. Let's go to 0.1 because it's a nice round number, right? We could even do the bottom here, but we'll do some more moon numbers because it's more fun. We'll go 0.1 BTC to ETH ratio, which means if ETH went to this ratio and BTC went to $300,000, ETH BTC ratio being 0.1 means the value of ETH to BTC is basically 10% of the value, right? So if BTC is at 300K, that would bring ETH to 30K for that ratio to be true and BTC to be at 300K. If BTC goes higher and ETH goes to that, obviously the prices get astronomical. I've seen people calling for like 80K ETH. I don't know, man. Those are numbers that obviously I want to see, but I have no clue at the end of the day how possible that is. It really depends on the narrative change, the developments that are happening for ETH to bring users back, to bring burning back to ETH. But I think there's a major bull case to be happening, as we're seeing other networks that have centralization, that have issues, and ETH make moves to privacy, to sovereignty, to decentralization, and also scarcity and burning. I think there's a great narrative for ETH brewing. And like we saw with the MVRV stuff, or the MVRV indicator, I think ETH is massively being slept on right now. And there's institutions loading up like crazy. BlackRock still buying, World Liberty Finance still buying. All these institutions are still buying Ethereum under the radar. So I think there's a massive chance that we see some prices that most people are going to be shocked at for both Ethereum and BTC. But we'll see. I'm curious about your guys' thoughts too. I would like to know, Mike and whoever else is watching this, what do you think for the indicators? What are you guys seeing? What do you guys think is going to happen here? I'd be very curious to see. And another question from Mike. Now back to TitanX. So let's go back over to the TitanX ecosystem here. Where are we? Where's your comment here? So do you think DragonX has scope to pump more than TitanX? I think you're going to see the majority of tokens that are built on TitanX are typically going to pump higher than TitanX because of the way liquidity bonding works. Now, the thing that you have to understand about these other tokens, which DragonX is different in its own way because of the amount of liquidity it has. Volt is another token that has a ton of liquidity as well, which will typically pump harder, but not have the same volatility as other tokens to the downside because there is appropriate liquidity. But DragonX has $1.5 million in liquidity, which is pretty huge. And what I think we'll continue to see, because we've seen this time and time again, is DragonX's leverage on TitanX. And we will, in my opinion, see DragonX overperform, even if it's by a small degree, TitanX. I mean, I think you're just going to see that, To me, that seems like a very simple analysis just because of liquidity bonding, the leverage aspect of it. It's fully deflationary. But we could see. I don't know. It depends on what the users do. If a bunch of users start selling down when TitanX wants to rip, I mean, maybe DragonX stays a little more stagnant than TitanX. But what we can see here is when we go look at the DragonX TitanX ratio, the ratio is actually moving in favor of DragonX, implying that DragonX has been going up in value against TitanX. So to answer your question, I would say it's most likely that it should outperform, but we'll see. Anything can happen. So look at which chart, K-Flow. Sorry, I missed that. I was going on a little bit of a rant there. What do you think about the E280 and the LP web? I'm interested to see. I mean, we've seen many different. Shogun is its own thing. It's tried LP web. The LP webs are. I think they might surprise people this cycle as well because they've been slowly and quietly burning away in the background, becoming more scarce, and they're semi-low liquidity. So when this ecosystem starts to pump and we see volume start to flow back into the ecosystem more so than just into some of the main tokens, we could see E280 and these LP webs pump quite a bit. I don't know for sure what they're going to do, and nobody does, but they're designed in a way where it should. And I'm excited to see exactly where it leads to. I also like what Dude's building. And I like the cross-chain NFT stuff that's really going to help E280 by bridging NFTs one way over to base, which deflates the E280 supply, causing for all sorts of interesting reward and arbitrage and game theory mechanics to emerge. So I'm really excited to see all that in real time. So great. In that case, I think we've covered everything that I want to with the TitanX ecosystem. So what I want to do now is I want to move over to Taurus, because Taurus is very close now to being ready to launch. And I'm going to pause quickly. There's 161 of you that are watching right now. Thank you all for being here. If you haven't already, please blast this out. And also, if you haven't already, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat, but it's t.me/TaurusWin. If you have not joined the Telegram, hop in the Telegram, because after this stream, we're going to be going in at another hour afterwards, and I'm going to be in the voice chat. I'll walk you through Taurus. Any questions you have, we can talk game theory, TitanX, the testnet, updates, and that's going to be specific to Taurus. So it's not going to be so concentrated on or so diverse in terms of the macro side of things, TitanX, all that stuff. And so make sure, if you haven't already, go join. We need 1,000 members before Taurus can go live, and we're very close. We're at like 60 some odd % of the way there. We need your help. If you have joined, blast that out, invite a friend. Let's get as many people as we can to the Taurus Telegram as soon as possible here. So again, t.me/TaurusWin. Now let's go over to the Taurus DApp. So I've been super happy with the responses you guys have been giving me about the Taurus DApp. I think it's very, very close. We have a couple things that we're going to change just to really fine tune this thing. But Taurus is absolutely looking fantastic right now in the testnet. We have everything's working perfect. Everything has gone very, very smooth. Man, I'm just so excited. What are you guys' thoughts on Taurus right now on the testnet? How's everyone been finding it? Because there's been honestly only positive feedback, which has been really great. And I'm really appreciative of it. And I'm also hoping for people to be very specific and tell me, is there something that they don't like, they do like, something that could be added for good measure. I'm very curious. But for those of you who are tuning into this and don't know what Torus is, let me explain it to you very, very simply. Torus is the first of its kind. It is a wealth generating machine. It is designed to allow you to make your tokens work for you in any market. It's designed to be very dynamic in its ROI, meaning it can be stable and then all of a sudden extremely high ROI based on the way it resets the system. The point of Torus is to allow for the simplest user experience for you to make an ROI while you sleep by just coming to this dApp and doing one thing. You show up with TitanX or ETH, one of the two, and you look to see, okay, is this ROI, the creation ROI, or the staking ROI larger? Whichever one is larger, I want to take that action specifically. That's how simple Torus is. And you can only be in the system for up to 88 days at a maximum. Okay. So it's really as simple as which ROI is bigger, take that action. Now, if the creation side is bigger, what you're going to do is you're going to come in here with your TitanX or your ETH. You're going to choose your power, which is going to allow you to input the amount of TitanX that you want. As you can see here, the cost for 10,000 power is 10 billion TitanX. I have that in my balance here. This is just testnet, by the way. So then what I will do is I would go ahead and click create or create Torus, sorry. And it will go ahead and let's do this live. I'll show you how it looks. You guys probably won't see this pop-up that comes up for MetaMask, but it's going to ask you for the TitanX in your wallet. You're going to pay a small gas fee. And just like that, you're going to confirm. And let me just confirm real quick. Great. Okay. In a few seconds, we should see this. Let me just check in with you guys. That's what I'm talking about, man. Torus for the win. I'm trying to get you guys as bullish as I can about this because, and actually, you know what? We're going to say this. We're going to say this because there's a lot to talk about with Torus, and we're going to get to the really bullish stuff here in a second. But so as you can see here, now, right away, you have your length, your progress, your start date, end day, the power. You have your created Torus. Your earned Torus will update every day. And this, as soon as the day ticks over to day 265 in this case, because it's testnet, you'll see this pop up. And what's cool is for right now, what you can see is currently it says minus 19%. Now, the reason for that is because obviously I should have gone and done a stake in this case to start. But what that doesn't mean is that I'm going to be stuck here in negative. What this means is when this updates in a few minutes to give me some earned Torus, what's going to happen is now my ROI is going to be positive. And every single day, I'm going to be earning a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more until the point where by the time my 88 days is done, I'm going to have, a much larger ROI than it currently shows. So this is the fun thing about Torus is every day you can see the amount that you're earning. And it's not just a projected ROI into the future, but you see it every day. So now if we were to go over to the staking side, and as I click over here, what you're going to see is I actually have another stake already going. And as you can see now, I've been earning a bunch of Torus, and I've got a 225% ROI here. And I can click this share button, and I can actually share this on social media by taking the screenshot. So we've done everything we can to make this as simple as possible. It's got your start date, got your end date. Your claimable stakes are here, ended stakes, and so on, so forth. So now let's talk about the bullish stuff, though, because I want people to understand how simple this is, but I also want people to understand the bullishness of it. Because when you're seeing this number, if Torus actually was $2.23, this would actually be the next day's payout. What's important to understand here, and I really want you guys to get this, is every day. So the day one starts at 100,000 Torus that is up for grabs and declines by a little bit, which is 0.08% every single day. So at current prices of TitanX, this is what Torus would launch at, is $2.23. There's 100,000 tokens on day one, which means that the first day's payout would be $223,000 that you can get a slice of. And that's going to decline a little by little every single day, which means we could see the first 88 days in Taurus be worth over $20 million, which is insane. And if the price of TitanX increases, it's going to drag Taurus up with it. And we could see some insane numbers coming out of this pool, which I really want you guys to understand and see the opportunity there. So now let's talk about why this feeds into TitanX and why it's really important to understand Taurus and why it is a big deal that Taurus is about to go live in the next while. Because if we go to the burn contracts, let's talk about what's typically happened for buy and burns. Now, when it comes to the TitanX equation, typically what happens is any ETH that comes in, right, is sitting in the contract. And if it's going to buy at TitanX, it has to wait for the ETH to be engaged through the buy and burn in order for TitanX to be impacted at all. This is where things actually get really interesting. When someone comes to the Taurus dApp and they create or stake with ETH or TitanX, let's say in this case with ETH, every time, let's say someone comes, let's say $1 million comes in the protocol. That means every time you or someone else comes into with a transaction, let's say it's $100 or $10 or $100,000, whatever is going to come in in one transaction, 4 or just over 4% of every transaction in ETH is immediately going to go and buy TitanX and burn it, which means when we come over and we look at this TitanX chart, for the first time, when a protocol goes live, you're going to see the protocol actually significantly impacting the chart directly without a buy and burn having to even be turned up, because the volume into Taurus drives volume immediately into TitanX without having any buy and burn, any control. It's just direct in. So the more volume that comes into Taurus, the more volume goes directly into TitanX, and then the buy and burns all move through TitanX as well. So there's a lot to be bullish for when it comes to Taurus, and Taurus could really have a major impact if more people hear and get to understand what Taurus is and the power that it can have. So if you haven't already, guys, go jump in the Telegram, go start sharing this on X, share this with as many people as you can, and really get the word out, because Taurus has the potential to really make a major impact in the next while. But I don't want to promise anything, because anything can happen with this. You know, TitanX could go down. The value of Taurus could start much lower. The ROIs could be lower. We don't know what the ROIs are going to be. There's just so much to think about when it comes to the Taurus system. But that being said, there's a lot to be bullish about. So I want to hear from you guys that are in the chat. There's 164 of you. Who's bullish and why? Why? What are you excited for most about Taurus? And let me know. I'm curious. And for those of you who are watching that are more so on the Pulse Chain side, there is a version coming called Unity, which I'll start speaking about a little bit more soon. But that one's going to be built on PLSX. So stay tuned for that one, because we're going to talk a little bit more about that on another stream in the future here. So now let me just see. I'll wait for you guys in the chat, because I'm getting there with all the stuff I had to talk to you guys about today. I don't want this to be going on for too long. So Taurus for the win, Taurus, Taurus, Taurus. And if no one is wanting the chat, that's totally fine. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll probably end the stream pretty soon. But I'll open the floor up to you guys if you guys have any questions for Taurus, for TitanX, for the macro side of things, or anything else. So, and what else can I talk about while I'm waiting here? Let's see. What do we have? Do I have anything else that I could show you guys? I think I'm getting to the limit of what I was hoping to talk about today. Vanilla. Yes, Unity is still coming. That is absolutely. It's in the works. It's going to happen. It will happen after Taurus, though. So make sure you're watching and paying attention to that. And if you haven't joined the Unity Telegram, go do that as well. T.me/UnityWin. Let me put it in here. T.me/Unity win. So yes, the Unity is absolutely coming. I cannot wait for Unity as well. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how that goes on Pulse Chain. If you're excited for Unity, go follow Unity on X as well as unity.win. And also make sure that you are, if you see a post you like from Unity, or if you want one of your favorite YouTubers or influencers or KOLs or whatever, however you want to refer to them, go and share with your favorite people. Share them in Unity. See if we can get Unity on some streams. See if we get Pulse Chain excited for something that Pulse Chain's never seen before, built on and burning Pulse X. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But help me out with this. I want to get Pulse Chain to see the power of Unity, and we're gonna be talking about it more. So let's get some momentum building there. Emma's saying thoughts on what Jake might be building. That's a great question. Well, the way I keep thinking about it is, you know, he's probably going to be building something that is foundational, that is going to be less user specific, like needing people particularly to like want to participate in. But I think it would probably be something that is going to be more general. It's going to have more volume based, I would guess, in some way, shape, or form. I'm theorizing. Like I don't really know. But what I do think is he's absolutely building something. Like the dude has so much testosterone flooding through his veins. I mean, like my thoughts are that he's chewing on a nicotine patch right now, in between sets of muscle ups, reading The Art of War by Sun Tzu, thinking about and planning his execution, his timing for everything for the TitanX ecosystem. That's my thoughts, you know? And I have a good feeling that Jake is actively working in the background, though maybe now doesn't feel like it's worth it to him to come out, spend a lot of time on marketing when he has a specific plan in mind. But I have a great feeling that that's what Jake's doing. So, but I think he is still building. I think the next thing that comes out is going to be fantastic, though I am really curious what it is too. And I would be curious what you think it is as well, or anyone in the chat that has any thoughts about what Jake might be building based on his tweets, based on previous streams, or anything like that. So let me know. Great. Well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap this up, guys. Perfectly on the hour mark, which I think is fantastic. So great. Let me pull this down. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. This has been an awesome stream. We got to talk about the macro stuff. We got to talk about BTC. We got to talk about ETH. We talked about the TitanX ecosystem. We talked about the strategic reserve and Taurus. And if you're excited about Taurus, again, t.me/Taurus win. It's in the chat here. It's in the description below. Make sure you're in that Telegram room. Make sure you are adding people in there or bringing people in, because we need 1,000 members. We're at about 620 at the moment. And make sure you share the stream out. It's time to get really bullish on this ecosystem. We have a lot of catalysts that are lining up for the future. And I really think that we're about to have the year or two, maybe into 2026, that we've been waiting for the last few years. So don't fumble your bags. Get excited. Now is go time. Stay focused. And let's all enjoy this together. It's going to be a lot of fun to ride this roller coaster on the upside together now. And yeah, thank you guys all for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Peace. See you guys soon.